Hello, Janet. How are you?
I am wonderful and delighted to be with you.
Thank you. Same here. And actually, I have been looking forward to this, if I may call it, interview. We are honored to have you within our summit, which is going to be within Riyadh, the capital of Saudi, which is in October. And we look forward to having you there. You're an icon when it comes to coaching.
Mhm.
And we have a few questions for you just before you landing Saudi. And if you may allow me, I'd love to start asking you those questions.
I'm thrilled. I've worked in the region for many years, never physically. So this is my first visit to Riyadh, and I'm thrilled that I am able to support the chartered chapter there in Saudi to bring this to the region. I'm just thrilled. So let's dive in.
Great. So, Janet, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the MENA Coaching Summit. And my question basically is, what is the deeper opportunity you see
Mm.
for leaders and coaches when we gather in spaces like this, a summit in Saudi, the first of the kind?
I think it's a very insightful question you're asking. So much of human dynamics goes invisible. People are hesitant to say what they're actually experiencing, and they're having a conversation inside their heads instead of in dialogue with others. But something interesting occurs when we come to conference. By definition, someone who signs up and allocates time to come and spend a couple of days with a room full of strangers, they might know some people, but mostly strangers, it sets something in motion, an openness and an availability to be a learner, to discover new people. And that gives us good chemicals inside our body. And from that, we create connection. And to me, this is such a foundational component of our work as leaders and really in human development in general. There are two strands of the human condition: connection and the opportunity to grow. They are essential. Without both, we're unhappy. We don't always know why. But when we quiet enough to put ourselves in a new place, we recognize, oh, I'm so longing to be deeply connected. And I so want to learn something new. And I want to share with others what I know so they learn from me. And now we start to have the generosity arise. So I think conference is a unique opportunity, not just at the cognitive level to learn new information and to walk away with something they can have be practical and relevant to their work, whatever that might be. But more importantly, it's the connective tissue of human to human time in the same moment learning together, in the same moment growing, in the same moment connecting about what matters to us, which is a better world. And the kind of transformation the region is going through just ups the ante a little bit. I'm super excited for you.
Wow. I mean, the key words and maybe the main word I picked up from that is connection, connection, connection. We as coaches, leaders, different entities, companies will all get under one umbrella and we will connect
Excellent.
together. Great. Okay, Janet. Again, welcome. It's always great to have you. And today I have another question for you. In your session, you'll actually be inviting people to explore generative wholeness. If there's one shift you would hope they walk away with, what would that be?
Oh, you're only going to give me one shift? Let's see. I'm going to say self-trust. And I want to give a little bit of a expansion on why that. Life is always changing. And people say to me, the name of my organization is Invite Change. And people have said to me over the years, I keep forgetting the word invite because change is so prominent everywhere. And I said, yes. And so, what has you react to the constant change rather than pause to find the internal wisdom and the internal power of choice for how you want to relate to change. Oh, well, now that's a radical idea. I said, that's what we mean by invite. We all have the power of choice, but we forget. We get caught up in trying to demonstrate, prove, validate, acknowledge, create our identity in the world. And we somehow lose faith in our own capacity that who we are is already enough. And everything else we add to it, it's kind of like icing on the cake. Sorry, today's my birthday, so I got cake on the brain.
Happy
Anyway,
birthday.
there's this place that we question ourselves in comparison to others, in competition with others, rather than allowing that competition to be an internal process of aspiration turn to inspiration, turn to implementation of whatever we imagine would contribute and be useful to the people around us, to be in service in whatever way our capacity is called to be. And that deeply requires self-trust. So, what's possible in a conference setting is to kind of set down the need to demonstrate that we're knowledgeable, to come with a beginner's mind, and to trust that the connections that happen, the dialogue that occurs, the exercises that they are engaging in, the time that they take for reflection are all opportunities to enrich their already rich internal process, to be ready for what's coming right in front of us. Courage comes first from that self trust. And the self trust arises when we listen more acutely internally. And we'll definitely make that possible in the keynote session and several other places that you've beautifully designed for the conference.
Great, great. Again, if I may reflect our first session, and I'm just going back, connection. Today, you've mentioned change, inspiration, courage. Do we actually have courage to change? Do people want to change? And that's really a shifting gear, if you may allow me to say. So it is a big shift. Thank you very much, Janet. You actually have worked with leaders across 6 continents. Janet is very well known, a leader coach, an MCC coach, an icon within coaching. So my question to you is, how do you see coaching and events like this, the MENA Saudi Summit, again, the first to happen within our country, basically to catalyze and transform in the MENA region?
I'm very keen on Transformation 2030 and have been studying it since it was first announced. There is something incredibly moving about an entire nation making a decision to foundationally transform who they are and how they present into the world and the way that they're engaging and the extension of invitation to every place on the planet to come to Saudi and why that's a good thing to do. And I have had the great privilege to work with many leaders in the region who are so excited about this opportunity, never before in the region. So it's visionary, it's aspirational, and it's also quite pragmatic. I think sometimes we forget how important it is to pause. And I often talk with leaders about harmonizing transactional with the relational. And I frame it that way because we have the capacity for both. If you ever hear someone say, well, that's a leader who has no emotional intelligence, that's an inaccurate statement. Every human being has emotional intelligence. Whether we choose to exercise it or not, now that's a whole other question. And the answer to that question arises when a person takes time to check in. Who am I being? What am I experiencing? What choice am I making? What values are motivating the way I'm engaging? And we have essentially told ourselves a story that speed at all cost. Got to keep the foot on the accelerator and keep the car moving. Only if you haven't learned to look out on the horizon, you will miss the obstacles right in front of you. And as a result, we get out of balance. Over efforting, not only does it avoid seeing the obstacles, and so you spend a lot of extra time fixing the things that break along the way. That's not productive and let alone be profitable. But we also hurt the body. Our body can't handle being on adrenaline that long. By harmonizing the relational and the transactional, we get a lot of benefits. We begin to recognize, oh, there are more people than me that can solve this problem. There are colleagues and friends and customers, lots of people that I can engage with to help see the picture more completely than I singularly can see it. And many hands make light work is a phrase I learned as a child. It was mostly to be sure I did my chores. However, it was true all throughout my career. Many hands do make light work. And that connection theme comes right back to us. When we exclude, we are limiting what our opportunity is to scale. You cannot grow without scaling. Scaling requires that we accept that there are many smart people in the room to access and bring in. All of that activity is relational activity, not transactional. So I think this is one of the key things that folks at the conference will have an opportunity to contemplate a little bit. It's like, ooh, what's my ratio of relational to transactional? What would be asked of me in order to bring those into better balance and access wholeness, all of who we are and all of who someone else is, and see how much more easily and quickly we manifest what we are seeking to transform.
Again, amazing, amazing, amazing. I may say, today I was in a coaching session and I learned from one of my clients a very nice saying. It's especially when you want to achieve something. He said, I have an equation that says say, do, ratio. So if you wanna, if you wanna apply something, say it, then do it, but have a balance and ratio in between. So we've talked about many things. Again, once again, thank you very much. And we do look forward to having you here. And I'm very sure you're going to add a lot of value. Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
I'm actually curious. I've heard of your book, and I'm a person who loves reading. And I'll give you some good news. Today, I've learned that your books have actually reached Riyadh. I'm looking forward to read them. And thank you very much again for all of those books for the different directors within the Saudi chapter. Now, your book, From Tension to Transformation, actually challenges leaders to embrace tension as fuel. Janet, how does that idea connect to the themes of the summit?
I don't know, you tell me.
Um,
What's the connective tissue that you see? I realize tension is one of those words that people sometimes have a, oh, how could that be a good thing? So, how is that a metaphor for what you're wanting to accomplish in the conference?
Great. One of the main themes that we have for actually our conference is innovation, as an example. That's a theme that we're actually working on. Another theme is legacy of impact, empowering growth. So, for instance, the way I see it is transformation, tension, and relating all of this to how do I empower growth, whether you're a leader, whether you're a coach, whether you're coming from HR. And I connect that to another theme, which is the future of innovation. Because if we do want to reach this future, we need to innovate. That's how I would put it. Now, tell me, have I got it right?
I think you have. And notice that all of those themes require change. So,
Okay.
kind of the first place that people go to tension is, uh-oh, this is different. I don't recognize this. I'm not sure I'm comfortable. That's the first indication of tension that most people will say out loud. But the tension was present much earlier than that. So, part of what I write about in the book are many, many, many stories of leaders from all over the world in all kinds of different industries who have learned to recognize. Do you remember the old in the theater? They would say, "We're going to give this person the hook and pull them off the stage." Well, we do that internally. We hijack ourselves and we don't pay attention. So, in a moment, we we lose the conversation. We're drifted off someplace. That's a moment of
Mm.
tension, but we ignore it. And then a couple of days later, it happens again. We're like, oh, I wonder what that was. Back to the conversation. They ignore it until they have a tense moment with a colleague. And all of a sudden, they're angry or they're uncomfortable in some way. Give it some language, doesn't matter. But they've forgotten about the two times before that their attention had been pulled away. Attention, notice, tension is inside of that word. So, what I began to recognize with leaders is that if they could earlier and more acutely recognize the moments when their attention was hijacked, they would see the seed of innovation. That, in other words, that tension is saying there's something here to pay attention to that's different. Something is shifting. Something is available that wasn't available before. This is why I say the seed of transformation lives in every moment of tension. So if we take the good, bad, comfortable, uncomfortable off of it for a moment and just consider what's occurring, opportunity is abundant. And what do we do with that moment of tension? We learn to take a breath, go, oh, something caught my attention. Huh, where's the pattern? Oh, the same person 3 times. Interesting. What question might I ask this person to understand how are they being different with me because I'm experiencing them different? And now I'm connecting and I'm in a dialogue where together we're going to play around in the world that's not yet known. Might be invisible to both of us, but we can both feel it. Because as animals, right, we're mammals, we feel things intuitively and instinctively. And when we bring that to the dialogue, a whole new range of opportunities and options show up for us. In other words, tension is the seed of transformation.
Wow. Tension is the seed of transformation. You know what, Janet? You've really made me excited. Now, promise me, I'm going through a transformation now. Of course, I would not talk about it now, but, and there is a tension, and I know what I'm going through is a big future for me. Now, when you're here in Saudi, I really need to have a one-to-one coaching session with you.
Well, it'd be my honor. Absolutely.
Thank, thank Saudi chapter MENA Summit in October, where we're looking forward to welcome everyone. We're looking forward where people would register. Just don't miss this opportunity. Let me ask you a question, and let's just, motivate people, as they say. For those still deciding whether, should I attend, not attend, what would you say to spark their curiosity about what's possible here?
Pay attention to the question that you're sitting in. You're
Hmm.
curious, you're interested, but you haven't quite stepped over the threshold and hit the register button yet. What's motivating your hesitancy? Are you wondering about what the value could be? Go back and look at what had you be interested in the first place. Something in you is longing to be at the conference, but you don't yet believe. So, what would you want to believe in order to feel complete freedom, if not enthusiasm, about selecting the register button? The invitation I've just extended is the kind of reflection that happens at conferences, that we have an opportunity to meet people, to engage people, to get ideas, to think about how they're relevant in our, whatever it might be, government, corporate, coaching context, and ultimately to recognize that we will be better on the other side of it. Now, if you don't believe that, then the question is, what value did you see when you initially said to yourself, I want to be there? What part of you is hijacking yourself from having the opportunity to step into a container and be in a beginner's mind? Maybe you're afraid that you won't show up well. You won't be as an equal to your colleagues there. Now look at that question. Are you in comparison to somebody else? Are you in self-trust in who you are? Because ultimately, when you free yourself up to always be your authentic self, you are a stranger in no place. And that means you can take advantage of the value that's there. So this is what's key. There's value in this conference, extraordinary value if you look at the agenda, but you will only take advantage of it if you give yourself that permission. And I hope you will, because I want to meet you. Let's see you there.
Great. And let's see everyone there. And guys, don't miss this opportunity. It's going to be big, global, top notch coaches, leaders across the region, from the world. Just go on and click the button and register. We expect you to be there.
Please say
Thank
yes.
you, Jan.
Yes, indeed. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Brent.